It's showtime. In today's investing session, we are turning to Neil Macker. He is a media equity research analyst at Morningstar. So happy to have you on the show today.
Happy to be here.
What are your top picks in this sector?
So right now our top pick in the sector is Disney. Obviously the stock has been a little seesaw over the last few years, but we still think the stock is well positioned to grow in this sort of evolving media space that we have right now. And so one of the keys, I think, for the stock going forward is going to be the launch of the SVOD in the back half of 2019. And now with the addition of the Fox assets, which we expect to close in the front half of 2019, we expect that to be a pretty robust product and ability to attack Netflix on their own ground.
Speaking of Netflix, if you talk Disney, you have to bring up Netflix because Disney is really going after Netflix streaming. That was amazing, taking away some of the content from Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be a big key for Disney is the ability to hold on to their own content, put it on this platform, attack Netflix, maybe not in terms of breadth of quantity, but in terms of quality of quantity, and then the price point itself. So one of the keys for Disney and anybody else taking on Netflix, like Amazon, is the fact that they have multiple sources of revenue, where at Netflix, it's really just that subscription fee that's driving revenue for the company.
What's your rating on Netflix?
So I am a 1 star, which is effectively a sell on
Whoa.
Netflix. I am one of the low prices on the street. I'm at fair value estimate of 120 right now.
You are. All right. What other picks do you have on your list?
So right now, one of the names we're looking at pretty heavily is CBS. Obviously, right now there's a lot of news around the company with CEO Les Moonves and some of the things that may be happening with the board as well. But we think once we get past some of those issues, once they get resolved, if CBS is a standalone company, we think it's an attractive price point right now.
You are great to talk to today because a lot of people were saying back in the day that people just would not go to movie theaters. And yet there are actually some strong stocks within that sector.
Yeah, so one of the names we like in that sector is IMAX itself, basically. IMAX isn't a movie theater as itself, but really is a company that's moved from basically just having theaters within, let's say, science museums and things like that to having theaters all over the globe right now. And they're really heavily levered to the US and China. And China is a really big growth market right now for movies. And people are continuing, as we see a growth of middle class there, to go to movies and look at that as an entertainment option.
Any other film studios that you like?
So we like some of the other film studios out there as well. Universal's one within Comcast. We think Comcast has gotten beaten up quite a bit in terms of people getting worried about the spending on possibly buying Fox assets and possibly buying Sky. And we think both the broadband part of Comcast and the studio itself at Universal are both doing quite well. And I think those values of those are being depressed by the worries about M&A.
Do you expect more M&A? Because I know investors love to watch out for those stocks that might all of a sudden pop because the company's being bought out. What would you put on your list?
Yeah, so names that I would be looking at right now, obviously CBS Viacom is something that's, everybody's sort of looking at there. We think that if you're going to play by either side of that, Viacom's probably the better end of it. But I think outside of that, we'd look at sort of smaller names. So AMC Networks would be a name we were looking at as well. It's one of the few independent sort of cable channels out there as well. The company's doing quite well, and we do think they have a lot of interesting assets for somebody looking for content. On the larger side, Verizon is a potential bidder as well, possibly looking at either CBS or Viacom, or possibly a combination of the two assets together.
We will be watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Check out businessfirstam.com to find out where to see our entire show. And don't forget to like, follow, and share Business First AM.